What would you say if a cop held out your phone and told you to unlock it right now? If you touch that screen the wrong way, you can hand police your whole life in seconds. Your texts, photos, apps, search history, and location can all become evidence faster than you think. Before I reveal the exact words, hit subscribe so you can find this video again when you actually need it during a real stop. And smash like right now, because what you learn today could save your case before it even starts. Here's what you're about to learn. The one sentence that shuts down consent before it starts. The follow-up line that stops you from talking your way into trouble. The question that forces the officer to show whether this is a request or a command. And the backup line you use if they say they already have a warrant. Here, as the reality, most drivers think the danger starts when the officer grabs the phone. It doesn't. The danger starts when you touch it for them. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos and the same mistake keeps showing up. People think they're being polite. They think they are calming things down. They think unlocking the phone will make this all go away. Instead, they give the officer exactly what the officer wanted, without a fight, without a warrant fight, and without a lawyer. Let me show you exactly how to stop that before it happens to you. Now, let's talk about why this moment is so dangerous for you. Your phone is not just a phone anymore. It's your camera roll, your bank app, your private chats, your work files, your maps, your search history, and sometimes your whole business. Most people have no idea how fast a simple stop can turn into a digital search. A cop might say, "Just unlock it so I can verify something." Sounds small, sounds harmless, but once start helping, you create a huge problem for yourself. You make it look voluntary, you make it look easy, and you make it much harder for your lawyer later to argue that you never agreed. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. You do not have to help police build a case against you. You do not have to make their job easier. You do have to stay calm, keep your hands visible, and avoid resisting. But your words matter right away. And the right words can protect you before your thumb ever hits that screen. The first thing you say is the most important thing you will say. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I do not consent to any search of my phone, word for word." Memorize that line. Say it calmly, say it clearly. Say it once, and if needed, say it again. This is 100% legal. You are not being rude. You're not being difficult. You are simply refusing consent. That matters because consent is one of the easiest ways police get access to things they might not otherwise lawfully search in that moment. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it draws a bright line. It tells the officer, the body cam, the judge, and later your jury that you did not agree. Bad way. Most drivers say, "Yeah, sure, it's just my GPS," or "I've got nothing to hide." Then the bad outcome happens. The phone gets opened, the officer starts looking, and a tiny issue becomes a full investigation. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I do not consent to any search of my phone." Then the good outcome happens. You preserve your rights, your lawyer has something to work with, and the officer has a harder time claiming you agreed. Watch what happens when you use that line the right way. The officer often changes tactics fast. They stop asking nicely and start sounding more official. That tells you something important. The first question may have been a fishing trip. They were testing whether you would just hand it over. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Riley v. California, the court said police generally need a warrant before searching digital information on a cell phone, even after an arrest. Plain English, your phone is not like a wallet or a cigarette pack. It carries what the court called the privacies of life. That means huge amounts of personal stuff about you. So when you say you do not consent, you're lining up your words with one of the strongest privacy cases in modern law. Here's the reality. If you never say the word no, the officer may later say you cooperated. Maybe they say you nodded. Maybe they say you handed the phone over. Maybe they say you unlocked it on your own. That is why your exact words matter more than your attitude. Stay respectful. Keep your hands still. Do not snatch the phone. Do not delete. Anything. Do not lie. Just give the clear line and stop helping. Let me show you exactly why this protects you. If the case reaches court, your lawyer can point to your refusal and argue the search was not based on free consent. Without that line, the whole fight gets much harder. Still watching? Good. Drop a like if this is already changing how you'd handle a real stop. And tell me in the comments if you've ever been asked to unlock a phone during a stop. Now the second line protects your mouth, because your mouth can get you in just as much trouble as your phone. You look at the officer and say this: "I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and I want a lawyer." Those exact words. Do not freestyle it. Do not say, "Maybe I should get a lawyer." Do not say, "I think I don't want to talk." Be direct. Clear beats clever every single time. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection when the questions keep coming. Why? Because once you start explaining, you start guessing. Once you start guessing, you start changing details. Once your details change, the officer writes inconsistent statements in the report. And now your own words become the story. Bad way. Most drivers say, "I can explain," or it's not what it looks like. Then the bad outcome happens. They keep talking. They give away facts. And police use those words against them later. Good way. Smart drivers say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer. Then the good outcome happens. The talking stops, the damage slows down, and your lawyer gets a cleaner case to defend. Listen closely because this is critical. A lot of people think staying silent means acting tough or refusing to answer in a hostile way. That is not what you do. You stay calm, you stay respectful. You do not argue law on the roadside. You do not lecture the officer. You do not try to outsmart anyone. You simply invoke your rights clearly. This is 100% legal. In Miranda v. Arizona, the Supreme Court made clear that people in custody have the right to remain silent and the right to a lawyer during questioning. Then Edwards v. Arizona made it even stronger. Plain English? If you clearly ask for a lawyer during custodial questioning, police are supposed to stop interrogating you until a lawyer is there. That is powerful for you, because once phone questions begin, officers often try to turn a stop into an interview. They ask who you were texting. They ask who owns the number. They ask why a message sounds suspicious. And every answer you give can open more doors. Watch what happens when you combine the first line with this second line. First, you refuse the search. Then you stop the conversation from becoming a confession. The combo protects both the device and the person holding it. If you only refuse the search but keep talking, you may still give police enough facts to seek more access later. If you stay silent but never refuse consent, they may claim you silently cooperated. You need both protections working together. The third move forces the officer to show their hand. Here's exactly what you say. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Word for word. Memorize that line too. This question matters because it separates a request from a real detention. If you're free to leave, the conversation should end and your phone stays closed. If you are being detained, then the officer must own that decision on camera. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it changes the stop from vague pressure into a clear legal moment. It makes the officer choose. Is this just a request, or are you holding me here? Bad way. Most drivers say, why are you doing this to me? Or, come on, man, I didn't do anything. Then the bad outcome happens. The stop drifts, the officer keeps fishing, and you stay there longer than needed. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I being detained, or am I free to leave? Then the good outcome happens. The officer has to answer. The timeline gets tighter, and you avoid volunteering extra time for more questions. This matters even more during traffic stops. In Rodriguez v. United States, the Supreme Court said, police cannot drag out a traffic stop longer than needed just to investigate something unrelated unless they have separate legal grounds. Plain English, if the reason for the stop is done, they cannot just keep you there forever because they feel curious about your phone. That is why your question is so useful. It puts a clock on the encounter. It reminds everyone that a stop has limits, and those limits matter to you. Now, you may be thinking, what if the officer ignores the question? You do not get sarcastic. You do not drive off unless it is clear you're free to go. You calmly repeat it. Officer, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then stop. Let the silence do the work. Your job is not to win an argument on the roadside. Your job is to avoid making the case worse. A simple repeated question can do more for you than 5 minutes of explaining ever will. When you keep your language short, you give the officer less to twist and less to write up later. Most people already clicked away. If you're still here, you're in the top 10%. Drop a comment saying I'm still here, because the next part is the one almost nobody handles right. Now, let's cover the backup line, because sometimes the officer says something like, fine, we have a warrant, or if you don't unlock it, we'll get a judge. If that happens, you do not panic and you do not suddenly start cooperating. You say this, I do not consent, I will not resist, and I want my lawyer. Those exact words. That line is gold for you because it does 3 things at once. First, it keeps your refusal clear. Second, it shows you're not physically fighting. Third, it brings your lawyer back into the picture right away. If police really have lawful authority, they will act on it. Your job is not to help them do it faster. Your job is to protect your record. Bad way. Most drivers say, okay, I'll unlock it if you already have a warrant. Then the bad outcome happens. They stop forcing the state to prove anything and they start helping the search. Good way. Smart drivers say, I do not consent. I will not resist, and I want my lawyer. Then the good outcome happens. You stay calm, you avoid an added charge for resisting, and your lawyer can later challenge what happened. This part matters because phone law is still messy in some areas, especially when police talk about passcodes, fingerprints, or face unlock. Different courts have handled some of those issues in different ways. That is exactly why you should never try to guess the law on the roadside. You do not need a debate, you need a script. Your script is simple, no consent, no helping, no resisting. Lawyer. That keeps you from stepping into a trap you did not even see. And if your phone uses face unlock or fingerprint unlock, the safest move for your future is to keep your hands off the device and stop assisting at all. Your lawyer can fight the law later. You cannot unsay yes once you say it. Now, let's connect the legal backbone so, this is not just internet advice. Riley v. California is the big phone case. In plain English, the Supreme Court said your phone holds huge amounts of private information, so police usually need a warrant to search its digital contents. Carpenter v. United States is about phone location records. In plain English, the court said the government usually needs a warrant to grab the detailed location trail your phone creates because that trail reveals your life in a deep way. Edwards v. Arizona is about lawyers during questioning. In plain English, once you clearly ask for a lawyer in custodial questioning, police are supposed to stop interrogating you until that lawyer is there. This comes straight from Supreme Court ruling. Giez. Put those together, and the message is simple for you. Your phone gets strong privacy protection. Your location gets strong privacy protection. And your mouth gets protection if you clearly invoke your rights. That is why these lines work so well together. Now picture a real stop so you can hear how this sounds in your own life. You're driving home at night. The officer says, you rolled a stop sign. You hand over your license and insurance. Then the officer sees a phone on your seat light up with a message preview. He says, unlock that for me. I just want to verify who you were texting. Wrong move first. You grab the phone, you laugh nervously, you say, sure, it's nothing. You unlock it. The officer sees the open screen, starts asking about names, asks about photos, and now the stop is no longer about the sign. It is about whatever he just saw. Then you start talking. You say too much. You guess at times. You try to explain jokes and texts. Your own phone and your own words do the damage. Now the right way. You keep your hands visible. You do not touch the phone. You stay calm and respectful. You say, officer, I do not consent to any search of my phone. If the questions keep coming, you say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer. If the stop starts dragging and the ticket business seems done, you ask, am I being detained or am I free to leave? If the officer says he has a warrant or threatens one, you say, I do not consent, I will not resist, and I want my lawyer. That is it. Short, clear, repeatable, no speeches, no panic, no helping. See the difference for you? In the wrong version, you become the officer's best witness. In the right version, you become a calm person protecting your rights on camera. In the wrong version, the search looks voluntary. In the right version, the record shows refusal. In the wrong version, your story changes under pressure. In the right version, your lawyer has room to fight. That is why this matters so much. The stop itself may last minutes, but the damage from one unlocked phone can follow you for years. Next week, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed from your car. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that line gets people searched every single day. So let's lock this in your head. First, never touch the phone just because an officer asks. Your hands can give away consent faster than your words. Second, say the line clearly. Officer, I do not consent to any search of my phone. Third, protect your mouth too. I am invoking my right to remain silent and I want a lawyer. Fourth, force clarity with, am I being detained or am I free to leave? And if they claim they have legal authority anyway, keep it simple. I do not consent, I will not resist, and I want my lawyer. You do not need to be loud. You do not need to be rude. You need to be ready. Hit subscribe so you catch that next video on smell-based car searches. Smash like if this script gave you words you can actually use under pressure. And drop a comment telling me which line you're memorizing first. Stay safe out there.